Hola, bienvenido a Mexico City. I am here, I'm in Mexico City. We've been playing Where's Waldo for a while on the community tab with our members. Well, now the reveal. This is where I am. I am with the lovely Betty R. And you probably recognize her from the chat. She is my friend. She is a part of the community, and I'm so excited because she's also been interpreting for me. I don't know that I could have made this trip without her. We are going to see wonderful things. And you told me something I thought was interesting. What sort of things do you expect that we're going to see here?
Lladro.
A lot of Lladro, yes. Okay, well, we'll look for that. I suspect also that there will be a lot of really interesting European antiques. This is
Plaza del Angel Antiquities.
and we are outside this a wonderful large complex. There should be lots to see. And the first place we're going to go into is Victoria's because Betty asked them if we could film and they said yes. So we're headed there now. And this is just the front window, and look at what interesting and beautiful things and such variety. The cordial set there is European enamel on glass. That looks like it's from the late Victorian period. It is Italian. It is just beautiful. A lovely piece of Parian ware, this modernist piece of sculpture here. So it's a varied and different thing. This is a lovely Art Deco lamp with a nice signature that you can see there from France. So this place is going to have a lot of beautiful things. Wow, look at all the Bohemian glass. Ah, there's something familiar for our American viewers. And Lladro, you were right, we didn't even get past the first case. Now you see the prices here and you might say $1,800. Now remember, we're in Mexico, these are pesos. It's really beautiful and fairly large example of Sabino glass, the double pigeons there. 7,000 pesos equates to about 411 American dollars. So the prices are comparable to what we're used to, especially for these finer antiques and vintage. They have some nice little pieces here as well. I just love the opal fire in those. Oh, and next to it is a Champlavet salt dip. We just saw almost exactly the same one at an appraisal fair in Florida. Oh, yes. You're a fan of the jewelry, aren't you? Yeah. Me too. And I especially love these painted pieces with the woman in the shroud. I only come across those occasionally.
Very European.
Yes, yes. Italian and just beautifully done, hand painted. There's a lot of finery here. Ah, look at that statue in the various colors with the alabaster. And then a really pretty Bohemian glass chandelier here. And an even more spectacular Italian chandelier behind it. This place is just full of wonderful things, and it's the first store. I am so excited to be here. Ooh, with the grapes, yes. Usually I equate those with Czechoslovakia. I presume that it's Czech rather than Italian. There's just a lot of stunning pieces, and yes, yeah, you were right about Lladro. A whole case. I've had the Madonna before. That's one of my favorite pieces because it's quite modern looking. Some of their pieces are more traditional, but they also have some very old pieces. This one here, Mama, looks like she might be Austrian. And yes, even they have Hummel figurines. I wish I knew more about these soldiers in the back. They look like they are, I think that's an Italian company, but I haven't seen them in a long time.
336. That's not, if that's the price, that's not very expensive.
Yeah, I think that might be a stock number. I noticed a few other things that I thought they're probably stock numbers rather than prices. I was wishfully thinking that that was such a bargain. It's like these little Gulla spring figures from Spain. And this is something that doesn't cost a lot to collect, but they're very cute. All these little wooden things, and they have the little spring arms that bounce around. Ah, thank you. Yeah, you can see how their little heads operate. Sometimes they have the company mark on them. I'll be very gentle here. They definitely cram their showcases full, like I do. Ah, yes, there's the mark. Lots of dollhouse miniatures too, that's fun. Oh, those are really sweet. This is the sort of thing that I actually have room for in my suitcase, so. The pin there, I can't read that out loud or we'll get demonetized, but that makes me laugh. It's very 80s punk. This one, on the other hand, is a nice little damask pin.
Very nice.
Yeah, probably from Spain. It looks like it's vermeil sterling. That's really very nice too.
You're right. It's colors, right? Or is it the ones that are behind
I think it's
it,
reflecting what's behind it, but that's what I like about clear glass, and I think people haven't really caught on yet. Everybody wants colored glass, but if you have some color clear in the middle of your color, the clear will pick up all the colors around it. So I think people will start to appreciate clear glass more. Wow, they have collections of almost every interesting category of antiques here already, and this is just the first store. Look at the carving on that. And this is something done here, yes. Yes, I'm curious to see what sort of antique and vintage things from Mexico are in Mexico, because I know that you were saying in Mexico City a lot of the interest, this is where the imports came, and that it was more to the European taste, but
Yes.
some wonderful things are made in Mexico, so we'll see what we can find. And there is a Fenton basket, just in case you folks were homesick. Oh, there it is. Like that color of Wedgwood jasperware. Blackware. I've learned to quit calling it basalt. Apparently basalt was the really early stuff, and it's a very specific color. And so they said, just call it black. Ooh, look at that neat Art Deco coaster set in the middle there. I really like that with the chrome. I could see that in my house. I'm not really sure what, is that a person in a top hat, or are they throwing something in the air? I can't quite get it. A little hard to see in the case, but that appears to be a Salviati piece in the corner there with the red ball stem, which is unusual. We will expect to see some religious icons. This one on the left appears to be a piece of Bristol glass. We now interrupt this regularly scheduled broadcast for a correction, and this is a big one. Ever since I started, I have been calling those baluster-shaped vases of thin glass from the 19th century Bristol glass, and so has every antique dealer that I know. But a viewer who is very knowledgeable by the name of Sam sent me an email and said, I have collected and know a lot about early 19th century glass, which is a real trick because there's not much of it around. I can't say I have expertise because I haven't seen a lot of that. He said that everybody in the industry is following the lead of antique dealers in the early 20th century who wanted Victorian enameled glass to seem more important than it was, and they're the ones who named it Bristol glass. What we consider Bristol glass is more likely to be Bohemian glass that is enameled from the Victorian era. Real Bristol glass was done in the late 18th and early 19th centuries in Bristol, England. It is almost all cobalt blue and dark colors, very exclusive and expensive in its time, not anything at all like what we call Bristol glass, and yet every antique dealer I know, and even the Cavell's Price Guide, refers to Bristol glass as the type of thing that I just said in this video, but it really isn't. So now we all know. Lots of rosaries and carving. I'd be interested to see if there are any retablos. Now that bone-carved cross next to the glass Madonna, just to the left of it, has a little circle in the middle, and I bet that contains the Stanhope, and when you look in it, you'll see a very, very miniature printing of the Lord's Prayer. This crucifix is quite pretty with all of the mother of pearl inlay. And our first piece of uranium glass, this little elephant toothpick, this looks like a more recent piece, probably Mosser or Boyd's from the 1990 vintage. And unlike a lot of places in the United States, you will still find ivory for sale here. The antique dealers, of course, are the people who really know the old from the new, and it's unfortunate that in the States a lot of the jurisdictions have taken the antique dealers out, because it means now there's just unscrupulous people left selling new things, and that's really terrible for the elephants. A lot of these appear to be Japanese netsuke. We refer to them as netskis. Oh, she's very pretty too. I love that they have some nice Art Deco here. That's Gerdago from Italy. And she has the ivorine face, which is not really ivory. I believe it's some sort of a resin. Really nice design there. Oh, and this one has the Millefiori ball. I just love this stuff. I could have a house full of that. Ah, but this is the retablo. Very good. I was just saying, I wondered if we would see any. So it shows
the story of how the Virgin of Guadalupe presented herself to Juan Diego, a peasant. And they had conversations, and she told him, please go back, talk to the bishops, talk to the priest and tell them that I want a church
To be built.
to be built right here on top of the Tepeyac for me. And he would go, but they wouldn't listen until on another occasion she presented herself to him again and he explained. So she said to him, okay, do you see those roses? Pick them up and take them to them, and then they will believe you. And so he did. He went back. He said, okay, she appeared to me again and she said the same thing. But this time she said that I must bring you this gift. This is absolutely gorgeous.
It is so beautifully well done. So I see. So the roses which are depicted, then here he is receiving the roses, and then he presents them.
And unbeknownst to him, there's an image of her on his clothing.
Ah, I see, yes. And that convinced them to build the church.
Yes.
That's an amazing story, and what a wonderful depiction of it. This is beautiful.
We can also see that image that is in the church. We will do that.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I'm excited. There's so many wonderful things to see here, and I can't wait. I'm only going to be here a few days, but I can already tell I'm going to come back. Okay, that seems like where they had it. Thank you. Yes, the Virgin of Guadalupe, yes. We'll see her a lot, won't we?
A lot.
It's really impossible to underestimate the influence of the Virgin of Guadalupe on Mexican culture today. And so, we are climbing up the hill of Tepeyac to the site where originally the Aztecs worshipped a female deity, which made this a very important place for the Spanish colonialists to establish their religion to replace the indigenous religions that existed before. Over the centuries, the old and now new basilicas were built, and 20 million people a year come to see this spot from across Mexico and also from all over the world. It is one of the most visited holy sites in Catholicism. At the top of the hill is the Chapel of the Little Hill, Capilla de Cerrito, and it is a very holy place. And because of that, we did not take pictures of the interior. There were people worshiping. Juan Diego, who the Virgin came to and is an apparition, was a native Aztec speaker. And so his influence on the choosing of this site as the holy site was very, very important. Despite much controversy in the early years between the Franciscans and the Dominicans over whether her connection to the indigenous population made her an idol or a saint, she was declared patroness of the New Spain by Pope Benedict XIV in 1754, and it is the Virgin of Guadalupe's representation of both indigenous and colonial culture that has tied and bound Mexicans together in a way that no other Mexican icon has. So this is 3.5 million pesos, and we'll put in the ticker what that equates to in dollars. Let's try that again. 35,000 pesos. I have a little bit to learn. Quite exceptional. Look at the base. That appears to be French.
Todo lo que se ve en blanco es marfil.
Ah, okay.
Igual que la lámpara que está del lado izquierdo. ¿Cómo se llama, tío, cuando la cara de marfil?
Marble. Marble.
Beautiful marble base, yes.
And then
Permítame.
hybrid.
Oh, the Bohemian cut to clear, yes. They have a lot of nice Bohemian glass and a figure of Don Quixote. I've noticed a lot of people starting to collect these carved figures from the mid-20th century of Don Quixote. But this is a piece I must point out because we don't see these very often and they're quite valuable. This is Austrian bronze from about 1910. And you see the hand painting and the really amazing detail. The scenes are often of an Arabic nature. Oftentimes they're carpet sellers or they're people in some sort of a pose reflecting the culture. They have a larger one around the corner, which I'll show you. On the other side of this quite beautiful bronze, here is the other Austrian bronze piece. And these typically in the United States sell for $7,000 to $10,000, and I would not imagine it would be a lot less than that here. I'm curious the story behind this bronze piece. It looks like warriors with a mace, that's a battle axe. The mace is in the middle, and that opens up and is a serving piece. Very dramatic. From approximately 1900. That is really beautiful. This is representing the way things were before the Spanish conquest. Well, if that was the first store, wait till we see the rest.
Es una diapositiva que le llaman.
He's explaining what they do. Ah, there we go. Yes. It's backlit and then you really see it come out. That is such a wonderful piece. And this looks like it's representing Aztec life. Is there a particular...
You're correct. But specifically, I think artists.
That's what I wondered. It seemed like they were...
They are making the colors.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes.
And here is the entire process that they have to go for to obtain those colors. Here he presents them because, well, this has been tinted. So here is some kind of material that's already been tinted and put to dry.
Ah, I see. And then they create from that, and that's what they're showing. This is really interesting. I know that they said that, and I think was it the Aztecs or the Olmec, they said were particularly known for this type of work before.
Oh,
and both, yeah. And then it carried into modern culture, and everybody from Orzocco to Frida Kahlo, you see this. I've always been fascinated by the idea that there's not, we think in European paintings of negative space. There's no negative space in this type of work. It is all design, it is all filled, and it's an entire scene from top to bottom.
This is a picture of a mural made that Diego Rivera made.
Oh, okay.
And we can see it at Museo Nacional, but this is a picture of that.
Oh, I see. Okay, well that explains why it looks like Diego Rivera, because it is.
Yeah, it is him, and here it is.
Ah.
Because it was at the museum, and the museum probably sold it. And here is the information from the
Oh,
museum.
I see. This is the, yes, painting and tinting, I see. Well, these stores are all going to be quite fine, as you can tell.
Son ustedes mismos acá, ¿verdad?
This is La Coronación, and
Sister stores.
they're sister stores, okay. And this one has a little bit more in terms of furnishings, and the furnishings, as you can see, are continental European, and they are quite highly carved. And again, some really beautiful pieces. Look at the French piece right in the front here. The woman with the greyhound and the stags leaping. That is quite fantastic. I could have a house full of that sort of Art Deco. When I first got into this, I really was a big fan of Art Deco, and I still am, and she's just phenomenal. I just didn't have the budget for it. There's the back of an owl. We had to have owls. But what I would really love to have is this chandelier in front in the blue. Look at that color. That's just phenomenal. That is definitely Venetian. And even the shades are etched. I just think that's beautiful. You could do a whole room around that. That's a really, really beautiful silver electric plate, yes. And it would have had an atomizer originally here, but you can replace those pretty easily. And I think this is also Bohemian, with the real heavy level of, you see all the lattice work and everything in it. And then the dolphin is Dome Nancy. It's got the Dome France signature on the side here. And that one, 8,000 pesos, which again, somewhere in the range of $450. They have an entire collection of European perfumes. Everything from the small commercial perfumes and the things that would have been mixed for you to this very pretty enameled Victorian perfume, which I believe to be Italian. A lot of commercial perfumes here, mainly made in France. You see the Lalique birds quite a lot in the States. Shalimar is one we see quite a lot there too, as well as this Coty perfume. When I say a lot, that's not to say that they're inexpensive, because they're actually very collectible on our side of the border as well. A very pretty blue Czech perfume in the middle there. And this one I really like in that lovely bright blue color with the enameling. The color and shade of glass makes me think French, but I actually think with the enameling that's more likely to be Italian from around 1900. They're really pretty, but again, I bet they're actually Bohemian glass. I don't know for certain, but I think that they are with that particular cut to clear. Oh, these are knife rests in Sabino glass. How interesting. I haven't seen the fish before. The knife rest was, of course, you would have fancy linens on the table, and so you wouldn't dare put the knife on the fancy linen, so you would put it on that so it wouldn't stain them.
Are they koi, these first two?
I think the first two are koi.
They're so beautiful.
They really are. And look at the wonderful compacts, and this is actually part of a little dresser set. You've got two different styles of compacts and a brush. Down on the bottom is mercury glass. We don't see a whole lot of this, and yes, mercury glass is very bad for the people who made it, and you don't want to cut yourself with it if you break it, but it's beautiful. And I have a friend who has a large collection, and you just don't really see it very often. And these have the gold interiors, and these are truly old pieces. There are some newer pieces that were made in India that you'll see, but these are definitely European, most likely French. Yeah, I think those are really pretty. Betty's going to see if we can take a picture and figure out the price on these knife rests. I really like the clock here in front of the Viennese with the center here and just her expression bathing under the fountain. It's very pretty, from about 1910, I would say, looking at the way it's made. And then I should show these because these come up once in a while in the States as well. They have a certificate of guarantee, and they are ceramics from Spain. There's the mark from Aragon. And they're just fun, and they have a lot of detail, actually. I see these occasionally in estates, usually brought back by people who were either living in Spain. I'm familiar with them because a lot of people in the Navy were stationed in Rota, and they would buy things like this on vacation and then bring them back when they were stationed in the States. Oh, and look at the Toreador. That's a Lladro piece with a lot of color. People don't realize that Lladro did do things in many colors other than just the standard blues and whites. And just to prove that point, here are some examples of new Lladro for sale in the Palacio department store in the fancy part of Mexico City. And you can see it does not look like any Lladro that you're used to seeing at all. So what did you think of Plaza del Angel? Amazing! Amazing! So great!
Thing after another, museum-like pieces, amazing.
Just incredible. The quality, the beauty, so much fun. Oh my gosh, and there's another floor to go, so we'll get to come back someday.
Yeah, come back.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.